Hey guys, Pedro here with B and Dr. Jen, joining us live from San Francisco.
Hey guys.
Hey Jen.
We are going to talk about pediatric brain tumors and the fundraiser that you guys had
For Annabelle?
For Annabelle.
Yeah.
So tell us, how did you guys come about it?
Well, so I was in San Francisco. You guys, if you guys are following us, you kind of know that we now have a base in San Francisco and we're expanding. So I had been there for a while and I was doing some projects and photographing. And actually one of the projects, interestingly, that a week or so ago, before this, I was looking into giving back, more ways to give back, and one of the things that I was looking at was the cancer organizations that we would photograph cancer patients. And surprisingly, things just came together, and I got a message from Hermosa Weddings and Events, who's an awesome planner. She asked us if we would be interested in sponsoring Annabelle's fundraiser for her treatment. She has a rare form of a brain tumor, which Jen will tell us more about it. So my first thought was like, obviously, of course, we're there. Second thought was, can we make this bigger? Can we actually do more? How can we give more? And of course, Jen was there, and we have a common background in our curiosity about brain. I've done research in brain. I'm very curious about it. Jen is a neuroradiologist, so it was just an obvious next step to talk to. And we were doing the wine days. I don't know if you guys remember. If you're following us, we were working on the project. So we talked about it. We came up with ways we can actually contribute more. And it was just a natural fix. And I think I called you in the middle of the night, in a very unreasonable time. And I was like, oh my God, Pedro, wake up. Pedro, wake up, an idea.
There's a time difference between San Francisco and Boston. So.
Yeah, and which I usually do, and he usually tells me I have way too much energy for like 3 a.m. But
a little bit too much energy.
Yeah, and I don't know how you actually didn't develop like a kind of nightmare where you hear me say, Pedro, wake up, Pedro, wake up. Anyways, moving on. So we were on board with Annabelle, raising awareness and raising funds for Annabelle's treatment. And I think, Jen can tell you guys a little bit more about the rare form of brain tumor she has and kind of give us more information so we're more aware as well.
So as you guys know, I'm a neuroradiologist, and B and I have known each other since college, but we reconnected when I was in Boston about 5 years ago, where we met up with Pedro. When I was there, I was finishing my training in neuroradiology at MGH and also spent some time at Boston Children's Hospital. And that's where I kind of really became interested in pediatric brain tumors specifically. So as we were saying, we were doing this fundraiser for this little girl named Annabelle. And she has a very uncommon form of brain tumor called a DIPG, which stands for diffuse infiltrative pontine glioma. And it sounds really complicated, but what it means is that she has a brain tumor that affects a part of the brain called the pons. And the pons is in the brain stem, which is actually a really important part of your brain. It controls breathing, it controls swallowing, chewing, a lot of very important brain functions. So even though we're saying it's kind of a pretty rare brain tumor, it's not really that uncommon. It affects about 10% of all childhood brain tumors, and it actually affects about 300 kids a year. So oftentimes what happens is these kids come in, headache is very common, but they also come in with difficulty talking, chewing, swallowing. They have weird eye movement. Sometimes they have problems with walking, coordination, or arm and leg weakness. And it's a fairly aggressive brain tumor. So these kids come in with symptoms that don't last very long before they get diagnosed. And when you hear tumors, especially in children, you think, hey, let's take them to surgery, we'll take it out, let's do our best to cure these kids. Of course, the reason these tumors are so difficult to treat is because it's in such an important part of the brain. You can't actually just go to surgery and take the tumor out, because what will happen is you'll end up taking out so much normal brain tissue that it makes it very hard for these kids to recover and to survive. So unfortunately, your options end up being first-line therapy is actually radiation, and what happens is you try to irradiate these tumors, you try to kill off the cancer cells without actually killing off normal brain tissue. Unfortunately, the effects of that don't last very long, and oftentimes the kids do pretty great for about 6 to 9 months, but the tumor comes back. Chemotherapy is not a great option just because for some reason this tumor where it is involving the brain, it just doesn't respond very well to a lot of traditional chemotherapies, but that's always something that is tried. So really that's what was so important about doing research in these areas is we really need better treatments, better targeted treatments, but just better treatments in general by understanding more about the tumor and really trying to help these kids who have a lot of life left to live. So really oftentimes what happens is these children are involved in a lot of experimental therapies and clinical trials in various cancer centers around the world, and that can be very challenging for families that don't live in large cities where it's easy for them to get to a major cancer center. So I'm going to let Bea tell you a little bit more about exactly what we're doing for Annabelle and the fundraiser that we became involved in.
Absolutely. All right, so Annabelle's fundraiser was hosted by Nicole with Mixed Candy, who has stunning jewelry, and it was styled by Christina Galvin from Hermosa Weddings and Events, who's an incredible planner. And some incredible women came out. They were community leaders, they were strong, they were incredibly successful, and they were passionate about the cause, and they wanted to come out and support and give to Annabelle's treatment and raise awareness as well.
That's pretty amazing. You guys can take a look at our blog and see how the evening went.
Yeah, we have some great images for you guys, and Jen and I were both really excited to be a part of this alongside some great sponsors, great creators that came together and sponsored the event.
So that's some pretty amazing stuff. So what are the next steps, Jen?
Yeah, so this is a cause, raising awareness for research in pediatric brain tumors is something that I think is very passionate to both myself, to Bea, to Pedro, and of course, Animus Art Photography. For myself personally, I think one of the reasons I am so interested in pediatric brain tumors is that it's really a population of patients that I've seen really bounce back. When you can treat these kids, there's a lot of future for them, and they're really, kids are just so resilient, and they can really bounce back from a lot if we just give them that opportunity. So I think that's one of the reasons I'm so passionate about research is that there's just so much to learn, so much to do, and really we can really save a life if we just have more opportunities to have more information. So Bea, why don't you tell us a little about what are we going to do?
Yes, awesome. I just want to reiterate something that Jen said that is extremely important. Oftentimes when you have a child who has an entire life ahead of them, it is so important to be able to have a treatment and provide that opportunity to someone who can literally shape their own future and then other people's, right? So this is what we're so passionate about this. We want the opportunity for a treatment for these children, and it's brain tumors, as Jen mentioned early on, is so up in the air in a way for their treatments. There's so many clinical trials going on. There's not a great treatment going on. So it's important to raise awareness so that there's more money going into research with incredible brains working around the clock to come up with solutions to this complicated, complex problem. As far as we all go, we've mentioned this earlier. I have done research in brain. Jen is a neuroradiologist. It's what she does really. And as far as Pedro and I, it's in the fabric of Animus Art to give back and lift people around us as we go along on this journey. So it's important to find ways we can contribute and raise awareness. So more people are educated, more people are giving, everybody's lifting people around them, and it's just something, the direction that we want to go is more projects, more opportunities. With that said, if you are listening here and you have a story and you want to contact us, please do not hesitate. Yep. We will write the email right below so you can check it. It's blog@animus-art.com. Or if you have more opportunities that we can sponsor, we can be involved in, please let us know. Contact us. Let us know your story. Let us know your opportunity. We would love to hear about it. And
absolutely,
we will be working on more projects, more fundraisers in the coming years to raise more awareness and hopefully get this as a movement going. And we're excited about it.
Absolutely.
I'm super stoked. Guys, thank you for taking the time to listen to us, hear about our journey, hear about our passions. We're excited. We're going to be coming back to you guys with more projects. Thank you, Jen, for joining us from San Francisco all the way.
Thank you guys for having me.
Our pleasure. Our pleasure.
Stay tuned. You'll hear more about us.
Absolutely.